The recommendations were made to and approved by the Secretary of the Navy on 4 October 1941 and approved by the Secretary of War on 10 October 1941. What proximity is this 10 October 1941 approval? 2. The allegations Roy Cohn levied in connection with Monmouth. I have the notes. Do you? A joint Army-Navy conference on organizational needs, interrogation procedures, and internment facilities resulted in more recommendations that were approved by the Secretary of the Navy on 18 December 1941 and the Secretary of War on 6 January 1942. Joint interrogation centers, one on 2nd August 1942 and one on 15 December 1942. You see that? On 6 May 1943, the Director of Naval Intelligence and the Army Assistant Chief of Staff for Intelligence, G2, approved a joint agreement on the operation of interrogation centers. Who got the XCOM 10 days later? Let me ask you a question. Cultiverse. What's the difference between U-118 and U-209? You know what it is? 91. What's an opposite way transaction on a 91? 19. What did they say? They said that there should be some celebration, right? After all that happened in Kosovo, all that happened in Bosnia and Serbia, tourism was returning to the area. Women were enjoying themselves at hot springs. Well, Dallas. Really? So you did. You literally hedged fucking genocide and intentionally defaulted. Well. Do you see that one? German 162 sunk by destroyers HMS Quentin, Pathfinder and Vimy on 3 September 1942 off Trinidad. What's next? German U-512 sunk by the U.S. Army bomber on 10 October 1942 in the Trinidad area. What's the difference between 10 October 1942 and 10 October 2017? As if that's not enough in your flip scheme. How many fucking facts do you need to prove the point? German U-164 sunk by a Navy patrol plane on 6 January 1943 off Brazil. Are you serious? German U-128 sunk by Brazilian aircraft and Moffett DD-362 and Jouet DD-396 on 17 May 1943 off Brazil. German U-409 sunk by destroyer HMS Inconstant on 12 July 1943 in the Mediterranean. I heard you, I'm not fucking bidding. German U-67 sunk by a plane from Corps on 16 July 1943 off the Azores. German 841 sunk by HMS Bayard 17 October 1943 in the North Atlantic. Navy POWs interrogated by OP-16Z during 1944. German U-231. Did you hear that? 231 sunk by British aircraft on 13 January, north of the Azores. Other Navy POWs interrogated by OP-16Z during 1944. German U-575 sunk in the mid-Atlantic by U.S. and British aircraft and ships from the Bogue Task Group on. How many times did you have to sink the same damn ship? So, did you have a concern that my birth certificate was fake? German U-371 sunk in the Mediterranean by U.S., British, and French escorts on 5 Bay. That's 2 XCOMs. That precise. German U-616 sunk in the Mediterranean on 17 May, west of the Cape Verde Islands. Really? I'm sorry, that was a kickback to U-66 on what? 1 May. Yeah. How much was that kickback? $850 million, right? In view of the amphibious character of Japanese military operations in the Pacific, arrangements were made with the Army to interrogate all Japanese prisoners jointly. This was different from the practice with German POWs, where, in general, interrogations were conducted exclusively by officers of the cognizance service. Officers or officer. During 1945, naval POWs interrogated by UP-16Z were from the following enemy ships. German U-56 sunk in the North Atlantic by 8 U.S. escorts on 24 April. 6. German submarines. See my ticket number. When one of the submarines, U-546, was sunk on 24 April and her survivors rescued, it became very important to determine, if possible, the mission of the group, perhaps thereby refuting the previous reports. Question. On the East Coast, West Coast swap out. Quote, subsequent Turkish reports that the Germans planned to begin bombarding the Atlantic seaboard with stratospheric V-3 bombs served to further confirm suspicion that the warnings were Nazi-inspired psychological warfare. This was in 1944? When did the wildfires start in California? What happened in 2014? Well, your fashion has been revealed. Am I supposed to be appreciative? Am I supposed to look forward to Christmas in the USSR? Had deduced the operational use of the German submarine bubble target during salvage operations of U-72 in May 1942 and confirmed it during interrogation of U-701 POWs in July 1942. You don't think that U-701 POW interrogation had something to do with July 25th and 26th of 2022 and what ended up happening on August 4th, do you? Did I just find it? The difference in 200 from July 12th? German U-185 sunk by plane from Corps on 24th August 1943 in the North Atlantic. Is that how you thought you were going to bring her back? Just in time for your police bid? For the pension scheme, right? I mean, because it's really important. Hey, you guys want to talk about that fucking April 24th yet? So you get them in a castle because it's too expensive to go to a hotel, right? I'm more concerned about the special devices unit. You don't mean medical devices. The Special Devices Center, I'm sorry. Special Devices Center, you mean like medical devices? You mean like medical devices you may be implicated in Medicare fraud for? Again, what happened in 2014? Somebody due for a name change. The project code name was changed from Overcast to Paperclip on 10 November 1945. I don't think so. Approved by President Truman on 3 September 1946. You mean Satan Claus, right? You mean Satan Claus. That's what you're going for. That's your Christmas stock? No, it's not. By what time were there still 82 German scientists still employed in Project Paperclip? Preliminary trial of a horse thief. Have you seen it before? You know, in Texas, stealing horses could be a capital offense.